What's going on today, everybody? It's Watch Display here. Today we're going to do a review on the 18038 Rolex Day-Date. And partially one of the reasons I'm going to do this review is I've actually only had this watch for probably maybe a month now at the most. But I have had 1803s in the past, and I've had plenty of other Rolexes too, so I think I can make a pretty good review at this point, and kind of a value proposition. And it's probably one of my biggest highlights on this watch is it is a single quick set. So the 18038. So this one has sapphire crystal. This one has single quick set. If you get a 18238, it'll be double quick set. So meaning the day and the date both are quick set. However, those have gone up a pretty good amount recently, and these have also gone up too, but they're still great. They basically great bang for buck watches if you wanted a solid gold watch. This one is a 36 millimeter, but I will tell you it wears larger due to the, for one, solid gold presence on the wrist. For two, it has I don't have the exact lug to lug right now. I should have probably measured it prior to the video, but it's got a good stance on the wrist, right? So like, I mean, I have a 42 millimeter Omega Speedmaster on, which is probably the top end of size in terms of what I will wear. And this, I probably can go down to like a 34 millimeter, but I prefer really no less than a 36. I would personally say that this on the bracelet with the thicker lugs, not thick lugs in terms of width like this, but it's hard to see on this reference, but later on they actually made this watch a little thinner, which is kind of a nice thing, but it does have a little bit more of a presence on the wrist than the thinner version, which I think makes it wear a little larger. I would say this wears closer to like a 37 or a 38 millimeter. And it's a great way to get into a solid gold watch if you don't want to fork out, you know, anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000 on a solid gold modern Rolex. Now, keep in mind this one is from like the mid 80s, which is, you know, I was born in the mid 80s, so this is kind of somewhat of a birth year, even though the serial isn't exact to my birth year. But so, you know, there have been significant improvements, and you know, something you're gonna get with modern Rolex, and this one has been pressure tested and everything, so they state that I can take this into the water. However, I just probably wouldn't, especially when I have a sub. So this one would be the one that would be getting dunked in the water. And keep in mind, I've washed this one. I've had, you know, it's been under the sink. I've had no issues with water resistance or whatnot. But keep in mind, when you do buy an older Rolex, that's something that, you know, you have to keep in mind. The fact that you may need to get it serviced, and you might also need to get it water pressure tested just to make sure that you do have, you know, good gaskets or whatnot, depending on who was wearing this, how they treated it, and what climate they were in, even like humid climates, and what it was exposed to. Was it exposed to lots of degreasers and, you know, stuff like that to basically wear out and dry rot the gaskets? So yeah, just a great little review, and I don't really want to put too much of a dollar amount on these, but if I will tell you right now, these are condition. And this one is very, 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 very clean. Probably one of the cleanest that I've seen. It's not marketed as NOS. It just was marketed to me as mint. I have put a few small little dings or whatnot on it. That's going to be the nature of having a solid gold watch. I think you can see one. I'm not even finding it. I think there's one on one of the lugs on the corners there. It is, like right there. So tiny little ding. I put that on there. But the bracelet is super tight. So I would strongly encourage, don't be cheap, and get a beat up version that's just basically beat. Another big sign is to look how sharp the fluted bezel is. And this one is, I mean, it's dirty right now, but it's very, very, very sharp. So it's, it still has all the presence of dancing with the light, and it just still looks great. And you'll see a lot of these with the bezels just, I mean, they're just worn down really, really bad. And I would also strongly encourage you to buy one of these on a bracelet. It's not a true day date without a bracelet. It just isn't. I did it the first time around. I actually ended up buying a bracelet for mine, but by the time I actually got the bracelet in, because I had bought it from overseas, by the time I got the bracelet in, and actually I'd already sold the watch, so I ended up just selling the bracelet too. But to make a long story short, I would buy the bracelet. It's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run to buy it on the bracelet now, and make sure that it's not been reconditioned. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will, and some of them I've seen, you can actually tell on the backside. This one obviously is not. This one's still completely original. But they'll actually redo the pens or whatever is holding the inside of this. They'll recondition the bracelet to make it look, to make it wear and not to be as stretched as before, which takes down the value significantly in my opinion, because we have no idea who actually did that, and we don't know, it wasn't Rolex that did it, so I wouldn't personally want a watch with a bracelet like that. And there's also a lot of these that are sold on either gold plated bracelets that are just made to look like the day date, and I've seen a lot of sellers on eBay actually selling the head, and then it'll be on a gold plated bracelet, and they'll sell them for like $7,000 or $8,000, which is anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 less than what you would just get this one already on the actual original OEM tight bracelet, which is just the right way to go on these. Also, make sure that it's not an aftermarket Italian bracelet. Now, it depends. I have kind of mixed feelings on this. If you buy the head and you get a really good deal on it, it's very clean, and you find an Italian aftermarket Rolex bracelet, as long as it doesn't have the crown on it, I feel like if you get one with the crown on it, you're kind of buying like a, I don't know, something that's acting like it's a real bracelet, even though it's not. It wasn't really actually made by Rolex. Some of the Italian made bracelets, I've seen them and I felt them in hand, and they're actually very high quality. I've actually felt some that were on an 1803 that actually were better than the actual 1803 bracelet. But it depends on what you're paying for it. You can get a brand new bracelet, not brand new, but basically new, old stock, I guess you'd call it, or slightly used on eBay. You can get them and from dealers too. You can get them from like anywhere from usually low 4,000s up to about 6,000. And the aftermarket, like say you were able to get a solid 14 or 18 karat gold, I would strongly advise you to get 18 match, whatever the case is, so the golds match, in terms of the color or the tone. But if you could get like a aftermarket 18 karat gold Italian bracelet for like 12 or $1,500, I'd say it'd probably be a pretty good thing to do. But unfortunately, most of them I've seen are within like anywhere from $400 to $500 less than the actual real bracelet, and it's just, you're not going to get that money back if you were ever to resell it. So it's kind of a rant towards the end there, but I'm just giving you my 2 cents and what I've seen on the market. I've thought about going that route before, but it's just always better to get the OEM bracelet. All right, well, that's it on this one, and hopefully you enjoyed, and have a great day. Check me out on Instagram at Watch Display.